Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review presents Folks Talking Sports, currently without a sponsor, hint, hint. I am Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and joining me right now is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports. Andy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you, Kris?
Doing okay. I'm just checking we got any results yet on the poll question. Not yet. I posted a poll question just to get Texans fans' thoughts on the grade that they would give Nick Caserio and the front office on. And here he is, the second person who's going to discuss the Texans much more thoroughly than me. Hope he's ready. Mr. AD Moore, the star of last Sunday's show. I guess No Sauce going to chime in, his number one fan, Mr. Moore from the AD Max Korner. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. It's still it's the evening now. Mr. Gardner, Mr. Yanez, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing great. How are you, sir? Let's see here. 2 votes so far in the first few minutes of the show. Both of them gave the Texans an A for the draft. Mr. Moore, I'll ask you first. What would you give the Texans draft grade? Yes, of course. You have to see how the players play and all that kind of stuff. But right now,
objectively, I would have to give them an A. I would no doubt about it. And I give them an A primarily for that move that I call it a rope-a-dope move because Nick Caserio in that third pick when they just all of a sudden, because let me set the stage for you, because I was out at the Miller Outdoor Theater for the draft party. And, they announced, and I stated this last week that, everybody's talking all this other nonsense about who, when, and what. And I said there was only 2 picks. Obviously, we weren't going to get Bryce Young. So it was going to be C.J. Stroud, period. C.J. Stroud was announced. I mean, euphoria went over the crowd. I mean, big crowd. I mean, this was the crowd from last year to this year. It was probably 3 times as many people. The hill was covered, everything. I mean, it was a big party atmosphere out there. C.J. Stroud's name is announced. And so, obviously, took pictures, and I'm tweeting stuff out. And I sort of walked away. And when I sort of turned and walked away, it was sort of like a rush of emotion in the crowd. And everybody just started going, like, getting giddy and geeked. And next thing you know, man, all of a sudden, Texas back on the clock. And here they are. And they announced Will Anderson. And you talking about, I mean, you could have swore that we just had won the Super Bowl, man. Really, that it was that type of emotion as I described, on my cast Friday night after that first round. It was almost like a tsunami of event, a big tsunami of excitement that just came over that place, particularly when the Will Anderson trade was announced.
Man, Andy, what do you say? You agree with the grade? You were there.
I absolutely
as
agree.
Well, right?
Yes, and I absolutely agree with AD. First and foremost, when the Houston Texans announced that they were going to be taking C.J. Stroud, it was kind of a relief. There was obviously excitement that they had picked a quarterback. That's what a lot of fans wanted heading into the draft. And then, like AD said, all of a sudden, and I was kind of in between. I was right in front of the hill, but just behind kind of where the season ticket holders were. And the moment that they showed Adam Schefter on the big screen that the Houston Texans had made a trade and they were going to be picking at number 3, everyone there was just a buzz. There was an electricity in the air. And to be quite frank, just to feel that energy, it definitely gave me goosebumps. And then whenever the pick was announced that it was going to be Will Anderson, fans, they just exploded like that. Right there to capitalize, obviously, kind of the good momentum that they had already had going into the event with DeMeco Ryan that hire, and then a lot of speculation. We talked about it last week on last week's show, where there wasn't really a good sense of what the Texans would do, and they ended up pulling out the rabbit out of the hat with this move. No one could have called them taking both Will Anderson and CJ Stroud, and now there's actual excitement about the team and this upcoming season because it looks like they hit on really a lot of different areas of needs, and everyone's excited because they want to see what CJ Stroud does for the Texans, and hopefully he's that franchise quarterback for many years to come.
Well, we got someone, and I hope the person is going to comment because we got one person gave the Texans a B. So I'm kind of curious is their reasons for the B. No shade. We're just curious, part of the conversation here on Folks Talking Sports. But, Andy, I'm going to ask you first because you covered this particular man for his college career. The Texans picked up a Houston Cougar in the draft, 3rd round. Your thoughts on that young man joining the Texans roster?
First time ever that the Houston Texans have taken a University of Houston player, and it is I think it's a good pick for the Texans, and a bit interesting from when it comes from attack perspective. I think, again, going back to the various positions of need when it comes to the Texans, one is adding that, and this is something that both Tank and Nick Caserio said in his media availability right after they drafted him. With Tank, the word they used was explosiveness, that kind of extra ability to really break open any play. And Tank Dell already said that he's already been in communication with CJ Stroud. He's excited to be able to be a part of that team. And from Tank's perspective, after covering him for the past 3 seasons, going back to the 2020 year, consistent, Mr. Consistency. And just look at it last season when if there was one word to describe the Houston football team, the 2022 Houston Cougars football team, was that it's kind of a bit of a paradox, but their one consistency was that they were inconsistent overall as a team, but consistently the 2 players that you never had to worry about week in and week out was what Tank Dell and what Clayton Tune were going to be able to do. And he was just Mr. Productive, regardless of whatever was going on around the team. He led the entire country with 17 reception touchdowns for the season. I think it's going to be a great fit because, again, it adds that extra something that Houston hasn't really, the Texans haven't really had, certainly for the past couple of seasons, since that's a player that can go in and take the top off the defense.
AD, you nod your head in agreement. Do you agree with that selection and what Andy said?
I think, well, look, Andy just probably gave the scouting report on Tank. I mean, he literally having had to see Tank for 3 years, the last 3 years over there on Holman Street. It's without a doubt. I mean, you talking about his presser with his immediate presser with us. This was one excited kid, young man. I mean, he was flat. He was flat out excited. I mean, it's dynamic to see a kid in particular. All he had to do is come across the street. What do you got? About a 12-minute drive from over there on Holman to go over there off of Kirby at best. And now, yeah, well, traffic. But
very true.
But I'm can't the Tank Bell. But if I might, Kris, let me go back to the selection they picked prior to that. They got this kid out of Juice Drugs. Now that was the third. That was the third. The second trade, because every trade prior to CJ, every trade subsequent. After CJ Stroud involved some type of trade. Nick Caserio was a wheeler dealer the whole weekend. Mm-hmm. They was moving about. And just let me give you a little quick background on this. They had an idea, and it roughly the consummation of the Will Anderson trade. They came within, say, and if I'm remember what Nick said after when we got it Friday night, they came within roughly about 90 seconds of that trade not being completed. Right. Because as soon as they completed and as soon as they announced the card, they were already in negotiations with Cardinals and trying to get that, trying to move up to get that pick. and really within 90 seconds. And here's the thing about it: if there had been any kind of, and this is one thing how technology is good for you, but if anything would have screwed up, that deal never would have came off. But and that's how close it came within roughly 90 seconds of having all the paperwork and everything being consummated, because the league office had to sit there and approve everything.
Right.
They had to sit there and document, make sure all the I's were dotted and T's was crossed. And so it's just amazing the background story behind this and how that whole Will Anderson thing came about and pulled off. And let me tell you something. That was a DeMeco Ryan's pick, guys. I'm just, no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, you start looking at the rest of the players, and we'll get to them going down the list there. But let me tell you something. The Houston Texans, at one while there it was a plethora of players from Clemson on the Texans team. Mm-hmm. Well, now we're starting to look like Alabama Gulf South now. I mean, Gulf Coast. Like this is University of Alabama, the Gulf Coast version of it. Because
AD, see, your number one fan here. No salt. Just here to hear you talk. See, man, been on the show. This is the second time being on Folks Talking Sports. Me and Andy been grinding, going on 2 years now, and we have not got any kind of comment, any love like this from No Salt. But AD been on 1 week and some change, and I'm just here to hear AD talk. All right, No Salt. I remember this. You on the next Let's Talk Houston Rockets. I'm going to remember this. Okay, next time you put in the comments.
Hey, look here, No Salt. Let me tell you something. If I don't have these two guys here, and particularly this guy up here up above on the left corner there, I wouldn't, if not without for him. You know what? You wouldn't even see me on this platform right now, because hats off to him. I tell him we're going to my grave, because he threw a lifeline to me, and so I really do. I appreciate the adulation, and I appreciate the critics, because you know what? That means I can always get better. And I tell folks, I'm not perfect. I'm just here to have fun. Come on, we're talking sports.
Oh, we're having fun. And let me put this up.
Kris.
I'm going to put this up right here. No Salt. If you have not seen it already, on the community tab, of the Houston Roundball YouTube channel, I spoke with Mfon from 5:10 to 5:40. So the interview will be posted after tonight's Folks Talking Sports. So we talked for about half hour. So trust and believe. It's all good. She has some very Rocket fans going to love some of her comments. Trust me on that. She's very excited about her brother Ime as the head coach, but she's talking about playoffs soon for the Rockets with Ime in charge. So just look for that interview with her. You could talk to her about the comments as well, but a lot of discussion about that. But thank you for that comment right there, No Salt. Good segue right there. But overall, let me see. We got Tank Dell discussion, Juice, anything about Dylan Horton?
Harden, the defensive end out of TCU, he's gonna be a player again as another player. Like I say, every selection after CJ, that was some kind of shuffling of the deck. I mean, guys moving up, moving down.
Real quick, let me get both you guys' thoughts on this. AD, you touched on a little bit. How much influence do you think, and for the folks tuning in as well, DeMeco Ryan's had in the draft room, the quote-unquote war room, in these trades selections? How much would you say Nick Caserio, DeMeco, was it 50-50, 60-40, Caserio? What would you say?
It's a partnership, Kris. I mean, and this is something interesting. I don't know if everybody saw the quote, because I read a quote that said that there was no leakage. There was nobody was slipping any information out. Nobody was telling. And like DeMeco said, because there was a conversation that he and Nick had gotten in the office together. There was nothing to leak. There was no leaks out there. I mean, quite candidly, normally you would hear something. You didn't hear anything. And the thing about it, and I go back to the press conference when they right after when they announced DeMeco, and I remember I did the interview with Hannah McNair, and which I had put out on Twitter, having and her influence. I'm starting. I mean, and I give due credit to everybody else, but let me tell you something. You starting to see the influence of having Hannah there, her input. You starting to, and then DeMeco Ryan influence. Let me tell you something. With the selection of Will Anderson, with the selection of Henry Toto, the linebacker, the other linebacker from Alabama there.
Right.
Let me tell you something, man. I would love to be a fly in that linebacker room when they guys come together with the players they have there, and then adding these guys in there. That because I mentioned earlier, I thought that of all the weaknesses, and the Texans had plenty of weaknesses last year. One of the things that the linebackers needed to be able to stop up and start shoving, plugging up holes and being able to just get downhill and start stopping folks and slamming folks. Tell you what, there's going to be some competition in that linebacker room coming in this season. Adding these guys and adding with the players that you already have, the free agency that they brought in there, it's gonna. I'm gonna tell you what, I can't wait to once training camp to get him. Because now the draft class will be in not this week, the following week. They'll be coming in for their orientation. So it's gonna be interesting. It's also what's going to be interesting is what free agencies they're gonna have, because at this point right now you looking 80-ish type players, and that they can go max 95 that they can go to camp with.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting. I've been waiting for the list to come out to see who they gonna sign, who they gonna bring to camp for as free agencies are concerned. But I'm gonna tell you something, guys. There's a heck of a buzz going on right here, man.
Okay, I got a softball question for both of you. Andy, you do it first, but let me get it ready. Andy, you first. Are you ready right now, April 30th? Are you ready to guarantee that the Houston Texans will win more games this coming season, this past season?
Oh, most definitely. I'll guarantee that. I'm comfortable saying that.
Guarantee.
They won 3 games last season.
How about that? That's an easy one. Are you willing to guarantee that they'll win more games this coming season than last season?
Well, without a doubt. I have no doubt. Guarantee.
All right. That's great to hear. This comment from A-Town and a Sleep Art. I like seeing some of the Rocket fans come over. Remember the Rocket family coming to join us here on FTS. That's great. Thank you, folks, and tell other Rocket fans. We're going to discuss Rockets here as well on FTS, but it's football time because the draft just happened. And the Texans did a lot of things correct. Been a long time since that's been the case. So we're going to discuss the Texans here a little bit. Joining me, AD Moore from the AD Max Korner, the football guy. Get your thoughts on the Roughnecks as well in a moment. But from Ace-Town's finest, was impressed that the Texans kept their lips quiet. So many media talking heads swore up and down they knew what they were going to do. Go ahead, Andy. What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I agree with that point. That's something that, again, that this time last week we were talking about. It seemed like there was a consensus that the Texans were not going to take a quarterback, or they could go defense. Some were saying that they were going to take Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech with that number 2 overall pick. And, I mean, none of those reports were right. I mean, even leading up just 3 hours before the draft, then out of nowhere, it's like, well, don't close the door yet on a quarterback. They could take a quarterback, and it just everyone they covered all their bases essentially. And I know this isn't even in related to football, but even Shams, who was tweeting out for some reason the first 3 picks of the NFL draft, even he got it wrong because he said the Cardinals were taking Will Anderson, and then of course the Texans were the ones that traded for that pick and ended up taking Will Anderson. Real quickly, I did want to pose a question for AD, and that's in terms of that trade to get Will Anderson. What are your thoughts on what the Texans gave up to move up and be able to take him?
Okay, thank you for and I appreciate you throwing that softball question, because I'm ready to go smack. I would like to take that baseball bat and go upside some people's heads with it, because now here's the deal. Let me explain. All right, they gave up the 12th round and the 33rd pick. They gave up the first round and the third round in the 2024 for next year pick.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that those picks next year are the Deshaun Watson picks from Cleveland. Now, where do you think Cleveland might wind up at? Probably in the middle of the pack, give or take. All right. There's probably more than likely
they should. Yeah.
Is that the first round pick is Cleveland's, or is that Houston's on first?
Yeah.
No, that'd be. My understanding is Cleveland's.
Okay, what makes a difference then?
Yeah, and see now I could be wrong, but that's my understanding as it stands right now. That because we're looking at in that third round, but they picked up and they gave up a third, but they picked up a third, and I'm going back looking at my notes. They turned around that third round pick that they gave up to get Will Anderson. They turned around and picked up a third round in one of their trades later on in the day. I got to go back and look at my notes, man, because like I say, there was a smorgasbord of picks. I mean, trades. I mean, like I say, what was interesting.
8 trades, right? If I kind of right, 8 trades.
Yes. Every pick after CJ Stroud involved a trade. Some form or shape of trade was handed out.
All right, Mudbone says it's the Texans pick. We'll see. We know for sure. Willy Gibson, our usual third member of FTS, is unavailable to join us this evening. Well, he said he'd try to join us, but there was, how can I phrase it without getting too personal? Some bad news happening in the family, and he had to take care of it. I'll just say it like that. So yeah. So, and here, this sums it up here from D Skills. If you get a great player, no one will care what you gave up for him. I think a lot of fans will agree with that. A lot of Texans fans worry about picks down the line. So, A-Stone's finest says again, it's Houston.
You know what? Hey, Chris, let's put it like this. If it is Mudbone, if Mudbone, and like I said, I'm gonna go back and verify my understanding, because there was some discussions even Friday night for which pick, because we do have that was the Browns pick, and the Deshaun Watson is involved in that as well. But be that as it may, if it's our pick, and if we win 8 or 9 games this year, I'm not saying they will, but if they win 8-9 games this year, and all of a sudden, so what is that? That instead of picking at the top of the top of the
it'll lower the
right. We dropping, you dropping down. If you start selecting after the 15th pick and so forth, okay, whatever. And then also depends on the overall grade, how that each year is the grade, who are the can't miss players. And next year it's going to be quarterbacks again at the top of the list. I mean, because think about it, you got Caleb Williams out of the USC, who more than likely, as everybody stands right now, he probably could be he could be the first quarterback coming on the board next year.
The next quarterback of the Washington Commanders, right there. You just said it right there. One of them, because they didn't draft the quarterback in these first 3 rounds, but the first this NFL draft, they're going to stick with what's the name, Sam Howell. That's good. Hey, good on you, Sam. Do what you got to do. Don't win more than 4 games, or 2 games, whatever the hell. But don't muck it up for your replacement going forward. Well, anyway, Andy, the Houston Cougars football team, they got players drafted. How many did they get drafted?
4. They had 4 different players drafted.
How many of them were recruited by Hogerson? All 4?
No, Toon was here. He's recruited by the previous admin, but outside of Toon, I think all of them. So Javarius Owens, Derek Parrish, and Dell were, I believe, but I have to double check that.
3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good.
Let's see. Tank came by way of he started out. He came from JUCO, but he started off at HBCU. I know. Going back, let me go back and look at it. But Tank Tank started off at the HBCU. And go ahead, guys.
How about this? Do y'all think the Texans can win 6 games? And A-Sound says at least 6 games.
Yeah, I think it's winnable. I think it's winnable.
6.
Real quickly, Crazy has to go back to your question. Two out of 4. Derek Parrish was on the team before Dana took
So 2 out of
over.
4.
So he was a
Okay.
redshirt in 2017. So both him and Toon were before Dell and Owens were brought in under Hogerson's admin. And to answer that question by H-Town's finest, no, I agree. I think at least 6 games is the barometer, especially when you look for how bad they were this season. They were relatively competitive in those games, and they're still in the AFC South with, I mean, the Colts. The Colts are in a very interesting position. They took Anthony Richardson.
Right.
The Titans, good. I don't know what's going on with Tennessee. They could, and they seem to be trending.
They got Will Levis. They took Will Levis. What everybody thought
in the second round. Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. Coach,
No. I'm just saying that because last week and prior, well, the Texans are going to take Will Levis with the second pick in the draft, right?
Yeah,
the discussion. Yeah.
Whoever said that, no, I was never on that.
Yeah, well,
that should never happen.
Yeah,
you
saw
my
at
Alabama A&M
response. Yeah, I'm right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he started out came by way of JUCO. So, but I mean, his quick presser with us, man, was just. I mean, the kid was just flat out just jubilant. He was flat out jubilant, man. You almost want to just see him get out there and start right now, man. It was just fun, man. Just to sit there doing this interview, man.
And he talked it into existence. If the Instagram screenshot is legit, he posted in December.
Yeah.
That he did not want to leave the city. H-Town, well, the Texans made a move and got him. So Nathaniel Tank Dell is a Houston Texan, the best route running receiver by a lot of folks in this year's NFL draft. So salute to him. Good luck to him. It was a surprise. Andy, last FTS, you said that you have the great line that Nick Caserio is a master of could use 1,000 words and say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say now about Mr. Caserio after this NFL draft?
Well, I still stand by that statement. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think that goes back to how they were able to keep a lot of stuff in-house. He does a good job at being able to, what I've heard, a good term that they've used to describe word salad. Every time he's talking about specifics that they're going to, whether it be a move that they're going to make in free agency, stuff that they're thinking about. But again, right now it's all still on paper. I definitely think that, again, they continue to build on that positive momentum. There's a lot of excitement for the actual players on the roster this upcoming season that are going to be on the roster and in all likelihood going to be on the field making plays for the team next year. And that's something that really the team hasn't had going back to before the 2020 season when it was a much different time for the franchise. So it certainly looks like they finally turned that corner. Now it's all about actually proving it on the field.
We got a T-shirt idea for you, Andy, right there. Master of 1,000 words without saying nothing. We need to put that. Think about that, man. I mean, for FTS, the branding of the platform. We need to think about that. But currently, going forward, the two grades that the fans have given, we got now 77% A and 23% B regarding the grade for the Texans. No C, no D, no F. So an A or B, I think that's about right. I want to say the one person I read, National, gave the Texans like a B plus, something like that. So pretty much in agreement there.
Kuiper, I think Kuiper gave him a B. He felt like that they probably gave up too much to get up to give Will Anderson. And again, I'm going back to the point compared to what. I mean,
well, let me ask you, based on who they got, is there any need that they did not address in the draft?
No.
Any position need?
No, the 9 players they got a quarterback. They got 2 centers, and both of these guys, Juice Scruggs and Jared Patterson, Scruggs out of Penn State, Patterson out of Notre Dame. both of these guys, center guard, guard center. Scruggs, Juice is an interesting guy, because he got the nickname Juice because we asked him how did he come up with it. He says as a kid he didn't like to drink milk, so all he wanted to do was drink juice. So that's basically stuck with him. Yeah,
Okay.
That's how he comes up with the name Juice Scruggs. But both of these guys played center. Now Patterson was a 3-year center at Notre Dame. This past year, he went to guard for a year, for a whole season. But I think you'll probably see Patterson. This is my deduction. Just a quick. I'm not knowing how the offensive, how the O-line coach is going to move these guys around. I would very well look to see Juice probably move to a guard spot, even though they got Shaq Mason and they got Titus and they got Green, then they got Laramie Tunsil. The question is because the center spot, that's going to be some competition in that center spot. Juice gave no qualms about it. Juice said, "Hey, I can go either way. It doesn't matter to me." Juice. Then my initial impression of him, you don't want to get in a fight with him inside of a phone booth. Now I realize a lot of people hadn't seen a phone booth because
Right.
you'd have
Andy
to
probably
show
doesn't know what that
somebody.
is. Yeah, Andy
Yeah.
probably not. What is that?
I've seen it in those
Those
80 movies, but I've never seen one in person.
those 80s movies. Look at that.
Yeah, that's okay. And we understand. But I'm just saying,
Superman user.
yeah. But Juice.
All right, young man.
He struck me as the type. Hey guys, we're gonna get in the phone booth. One person walking out of there, and Juice is probably gonna be the one walking out of there. And that's not to take light of Patterson, because I've had a chance to watch both of these guys. I remember watching both of these guys this past season. In the big, one Big Ten and then with Notre Dame. So both of these guys
real
are
quick,
big pounders.
Real quick, AD. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. What position did you play football?
I was playing linebacker.
Linebacker.
Yeah, I was a linebacker. Yes. Although I did have to, on certain occasions, I did put my hand in the dirt. So that was times when I had to get down in the trenches.
If you don't mind my asking, this is for your number one fan, No Salt. How long ago was your football playing days?
A few years back. Let me put it like that. a few years back. In other words, they had just recently quit. They had quit. They started flagging us for clotheslining people.
Oh, the Deacon Jones move.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. One of the officials, a gentleman I played with my freshman year, he's an NFL official now. He's an NFL supervisor and trains officials, and he and I was talking. Because I see him on couple of games. During the Texans season when he comes down for the supervisional role, looking at the current crop of NFL officials. And he and I would get to thinking and would get to talking. I said, I probably would have given up half of my paycheck if I would continue to hit people like I was hitting back then when I was playing with you. He said, "Yeah, you'll probably be broke right about now." But
wow, AD. All right, Andy. On a Cougar related note, another Cougar related note, the Cougs got some, as in football, got some players. Got some transfers, right? One or two guys on the O-line committed to the Cougs instead of leaving the Cougs. Got it the other way around this time?
You kind of cut off there for a second, Chris. I don't know if it's my connection, but no, they added one offensive lineman, and then his name slipping me. Let me see if I can go back and get.
But we can also
the kid's name.
No. But while you're looking him up, just your thoughts on Alton McCaskill, running back, the former Houston Cougar running back, decided to enter the transfer portal and shock everyone. What was your initial reaction on that? And who's at fault? Is anyone at fault? Some fans blame Dana. Some fans blame Alton. What's your take on it?
My take is that I don't know. No one knows. No one except Alton McCaskill and I mean the coaching staff knows the exact reason why McCaskill decided to leave. I said this on all these days are trying to run together. I think it was Wednesday when he officially entered the transfer portal. And it was definitely a surprising move. It came out on Tuesday night that he was going to be entering the transfer portal on Wednesday. And the reason it was surprising is because he had actually spoken with media in 3 weeks, or it's going to be 4 weeks from this Tuesday, just talking about the status of the running backs group. He said he felt like they could be the best group from when it comes to running backs in the country. And he personally was obviously coming off that ACL injury where he missed all of the 2022 season. And it just really caught everyone, and specifically fans, by surprise. And obviously in this day and age of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness and all that, the number one thing that everyone immediately went to was he got a bigger NIL deal somewhere else. Now, if that's the case, we don't. I personally do not know at this point. There's obviously going to be a lot of disappointment, a lot of hurt feelings, for the lack of a better phrase. But at the end of the day, that's what college football in 2023 is. And again, what made it all strange was how former Houston players that had entered the transfer portal and were already in the transfer portal kind of took the opportunity with McCaskill's decision to enter the transfer portal, and then were the one that specifically came to mind is Cameron Johnson's tweet, who said, you can't blame a player for leaving a sinking ship. And that one really struck home with not only the fans of the Houston Cougars, but even some of the current players as well. And it was just kind of a Twitter drama going on for most of that day on Wednesday. But at the end of the day, like, McCaskill's a great player. He nearly rushed for 1,000 yards in his freshman season, and he was expected to be the workhorse. He was going to be the face of the running backs group, who was going to be a key figure. That, just hearing from Dana Holgorsen talk, and even the offensive line coach Ime Udoka, they're going to be they're looking to make a point of emphasis of being able to establish a run game and then being able to have that presence. And not having McCaskill is going to be a big blow on paper right now, but now they have to figure out a way to make up for it. And at the end of the day, fans and the team itself, they have to move on. And in that time of that rant, I found the name of the kid, Peyton Dunn, committed to the Houston Cougars football team, an offensive lineman, which I can't remember if this was last week or if this was on the actual Pod Slam and Jamma show. But again, offensive lineman, a key position that what Dana Holgorsen said over close to a month ago, that the emphasis for Houston is to be able to have depth at that position. That's the number one thing. And that's one commitment that I saw over the weekend. But obviously, he committed on April 29th, and it feels like he committed years ago, weeks ago, with how busy it's been with the draft. But yeah, the transfer portal window actually officially closes today. So that means that's I don't know if it's a specific time, but today's the last day that players have to be able to put their name in the transfer portal. So you'd imagine that over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to get a lot more commits all over the country. And I think the biggest one, it'll be interesting to see where McCaskill goes, because again, going back to him, what really got a lot of UH fans is that a national reporter, again, when the news broke on Tuesday that he was going to be entering the transfer portal the following Wednesday, immediately linked him to Colorado, which right there, that starts to raise flags, because if he hasn't officially entered the transfer portal yet, he's already being linked to a school. From an optics side, obviously, it starts with the word T, and that's tampering. That the optics doesn't look good. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, and if it indeed is name, image, and likeness things, or if it's something else.
And that person, I forgot who it was, the national guy put it out there.
Bruce Feldman, I believe. Bruce
Feldman's a respected reporter, journalist at ESPN now, saying something like that, putting out there on Twitter. Athletic, I'm sorry. Athletic, I'm thinking of Pete Thamel. Pete Thamel. Saying that folks like, who told you? Because if it's out there, because that was Tuesday night, Alton had not yet been in the transfer portal. He announced on Wednesday that he was in the portal. So linking him to a school, a program before he's even in the portal and putting it out there in social media is interesting. And I'll say interesting because that's the word I'm going to use. But that's that's kind of shady as well. Linking him to a school and a program before he's even in the portal. So who told you that kind of information? Where'd you get that info from? Was it one of Was it Alton? Was it somebody at Colorado? Was it one of Alton's family members? All kinds of other different things. And Alton hasn't even, as far as I know, Andy, he has not yet committed to a program yet as of today, right?
No, he only announced 2 schools that had offered, and it was Florida and Arizona State, and he hasn't mentioned anything else. He hasn't posted anything else, at least not on Twitter.
Yep. So, AD, do you want to say something about this whole possible saga?
Well, I mean, the fact that you brought the name Colorado and you talking about Boulder, right after, it was just last week when they had their spring game in a snowstorm, which I found, I'm still flabbergasted that they just sit up there and see their spring.
And yet 47,000 folks were still there.
Yeah, and everybody dressed up in here. Here you got a winter storm going on. But that was a mass exodus after that game.
Right.
And I think the total was about 18 to 21 players
after the spring game. Yep. Mm-hmm.
that jumped into the portal right after that. And and there was some criticism directed at the head coach for the fact that coaches were looking to get film, and all of a sudden they were not allowing players to have get their film. Mm-hmm. And then it was such a hue and cry that all of a sudden that changed, and everybody started, and then all of a sudden, they can get the film and everything, which I think in the long run, if you don't want the kids there, then give them the film, let them go, because obviously you walked in, you came with great fanfare, and you came promising a lot of things. And so if you already telling folks is a new sheriff in town, then at the end of the day, if somebody wants to leave, then hey, be like Marcus Freeman did at Notre Dame. He told and I applaud Freeman. He applauded the kid that wanted to leave. He said, the only thing that I feel bad about, you won't have a degree that says Notre Dame on it. I mean, that was sort of a shot at the kid in my mind, because I mean I'm pretty sure a lot of universities, the Ohio State University, you guys being University of Houston alum, I'm coming from Sam Houston State. I'm pretty sure we put credibility in our degree names on no degrees, but the way Marcus Freeman placed it on this young man, the only thing I regret is the fact that you won't have Notre Dame on your degree. I'm more like, that's a different that was a different stroke.
It was, and let me say this about the man who refers to him and wants other folks to refer to him as Coach Prime. That's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I could be the old school, say your mama name is this, and he wants whatever. But he's a very flashy guy. He's very flamboyant. He's raised the profile of Colorado. He's also put a bullseye on the football team, because there are going to be a lot of teams now want to beat his players for what his coaches, what he's saying. He's writing checks that we'll see if his players can cash. But hey, Colorado, they made the hire. Wish them if it works out. But I'm tying it all together for this. Colorado, Coach Prime is over there. Got a lot of excitement. One of the 2 programs that had the spring game on live on the 4 letters. There's still Andy, AD. What are they going to say? What are they going to do if 80% of their football games is on Apple Plus, and instead of on ESPN Friday night or Saturday night? What are they going to do then? Will we still hear about Coach Prime then?
Oh yeah, you're gonna hear about it.
Definitely.
No. Let me put if if they start the season off in a big way, Kris, I'm here to predict. The programmers are looking for folks. They want to draw eyeballs to their platform, and I guarantee you, the 4 letters are going to keep them on the regular. If they're competitive, the 4 letters will have them on the regular station. You won't be having to go.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Pac-12's next media rights deal, which will be starting for 24.
Okay.
Will they 80%? It's not sourced. Okay, it was a hypothetical scenario, but Apple Plus seems to be in the lead to want the Pac-12's Tier 1 rights football. So the majority of the Pac-12's football games would be on a streaming platform, Apple Plus, rather than a linear platform. So I'm saying I don't care how popular Deion is, how popular they can be next season or 2 seasons down the line. If they're on Apple Plus and not NBC, CBS, Fox, ESPN, how many folks are going to know about the Buffaloes unless they move to another conference?
So you predicting that they're going to move? They're getting ready to change
I'm not
conference?
predicting anything. I'm not predicting anything at all. I'm just saying, he's all about flash. Okay, he's more flash than substance.
He would question you on that.
I'm sure he would. But I remember him back when he was dancing with Jerry Glanville and MC Hammer back with the Falcons and Show Me the Money videos. Andy, Google it if you haven't seen it. His Show Me the Money video. So that goes back years.
With the Jerry curl?
Yes. So all of that. Curl. How much will he? Because he doesn't have, folks say his impact at CU, it won't change the media rights deal. If the Pac-12 signs a deal where it's 80% streaming, what's he going to do then?
That's a good question. He'll be that. Trust me, he will figure out a way to get eyeballs to his program. He's going to figure out a way to bring eyeballs. Will come go to his program.
Andy, what do you say?
I agree. There's always going to be that buzz around Colorado until as long as Coach Prime is there. If the Pac-12 gets a streaming-only platform, or not a streaming-only, a deal that is consistent where there be 80%, 70%, right? Correct. With majority of the games on a streaming platform, that's not going to bid well for the Pac-12 or the Pac-10, whatever the remaining schools you want to call them. Once UCLA and USC leave, and if that happens, I don't think that a lot of those schools are going to be there for the long run, in my opinion.
And based on
Colorado,
that,
mainly.
Agreed. Based on that, unless, and it might happen soon, I don't know about soon, months, couple of years, whatever, unless the Big Ten comes calling for Oregon, Washington, etc., Oregon will still be in the Pac-12. If Oregon is still in the same conference as Colorado, Oregon is the bigger national brand. Would y'all agree?
Oh, that goes without saying, man. Because...
Okay, so if that is the case, and there is a limited number of games available for the 4 letters for Pac-12 After Dark, Friday, Saturday, whatever, the majority of those games that ESPN will pick will probably involve Oregon, not the Deion's. What do you say to that?
Oregon versus Colorado would definitely be on.
Okay, that's one. I said
actually, I would agree.
The majority of the games. So let's say it's 13. How many of those 13 you think would be? Don't forget about Washington. Washington is supposedly a bigger national brand than the Deion's.
That's well, Kris, hold up. Let's go
Oregon
back.
would get 7, Colorado would get 4, and then other schools would get 2.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. As long as Deion Sanders is at Colorado, the moment he's not at Colorado,
things will change.
Then it falls apart.
Yeah, but Kris, let's go back to the gentleman you had on the Big 12, the vice president. Was John
Williams? Yes, sir.
John Williams. Go back and let's go back and break down that excellent interview that you had with him and his programming. Remember, all these these schools when you start programming, yeah, you can play favoritism. You can start doing some schedule changing toward the end of the year. But when you're trying to put some balance in those schedule, everybody's got to sort of get treated a little bit equal, especially between August and September, and we're moving to the middle of October. But once you get past October, unless they got some flexing involved in those TV rights, that's a different story,
right? Because Mr. Williams mentioned that.
Yeah,
ESPN will determine the schedule because this is basketball, but I don't believe it's much difference from football. So ESPN would pick the schedule and determine what team from the Pac-12 they'd want to show more times than not. I'm saying if it's true that Oregon is the national brand, then ESPN would have Oregon on more times than Colorado. If that's true, if that holds true, then what would Mr. Sanders do then? Besides go to Twitter and complain? He'll say everybody will be on Apple Plus, get your subscription. That's what he's going to say. That's all he can say.
Well, let's put it like this: the money, the money is going to drive everything. The dollars are going to drive in everything. So
right.
he can say what he wants to. The bottom line is that he's part of a conference, and that's the reason that you having the dynamics going on. That's the reason SC, and UCLA are going to the Pac-10.
The Big Ten, yeah.
The Big Ten. I mean the Big Ten. Thinking for good. That's the reason they go. This is about money. That's the reason Oklahoma and Texas paying out $100 million settlement just to get over to the SEC, because it's all about money. And really, are we getting ready to come down to, we supposed to have, and this be interesting, and I was sort of interested in how you would sort of break this one down. Are we getting ready to start looking at a Power 5 that's getting ready to come down to a Power 3?
As long as Houston is part of that Power 3, yes. I don't care what happens to the ACC or the Pac-12. I'm putting on my UH alumni hat right there, because that's what I hope happens. We'll see.
I think it's trending more to a Power 2.
That's no question. I'm just hoping that
Big Ten
Big 12
and SEC
can like hold the belt loop.
Be that third.
Of the Big Ten.
So what?
Yeah.
Does that lead the ACC to merge with the Pac-12?
No, they're not doing that.
No.
But real quick, Deverick, UH is joining the Big 12 July 1st.
Hey, tomorrow, exactly 2 months from tomorrow.
2 months from tomorrow.
Tomorrow's
July
May 1st.
And the folks who don't care,
exciting time,
is joining the American also on July 1st. And CM Hooped. Yeah, exactly. Hootie Hoo, right? The Rice Owls in the American. I'll still be talking about the Rice Owls and things of that sort. But the interview,
I'm joking.
There are some clips from Coach Udoka on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Just look for the playlist for him. But after this edition of Folks Talking Sports, give me some time and I will produce my interview with his sister, Mfon, and it's Mfon. That's how it's pronounced. That's how she pronounced it. Mfon, M-F-O-N. And that'll be posted on the Houston Roundball Review tonight as well. So thank you very much for the question. And for those who don't know, me and Mfon go back 20 years when she played for the Comets back in 2003. So going to wrap it up a little bit early because Andy's got to get ready to cover the Astros for Gallery Sports. So Andy, you first. How can folks find you and chit chat with you and give you grief or give you praise on social media?
Oh no, don't give me grief. A lot of UH fans gave me grief on when the heck was it? Wednesday, Thursday. But they can follow me on Twitter at Yanez_5. And also just really wants to see you and Udoka's sister.
Brought it up last night too. I don't know why.
Where was I? Oh, Twitter at Yanez_5. You might have to start that campaign going, but most importantly, Pot Slam at Jambo. We are now officially under 50 subscribers away from hitting 1,000. So if you're new to, or if you have not visited the Pod Slam and Jamma YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. I actually had a cool opportunity to be able to talk to Clayton Tune after he was taken by the Cardinals. It's a very short interview, but it's still a one-on-one interview, phone interview, which is pretty awesome. It's on the channel at Pod Slam and Jamma on YouTube, and at Yanez_5 on Twitter, like I said.
AD, how can folks interact with you on social media?
Social media, you can catch me on Twitter, AD_more64. Primarily, I'm in and out on that one. I'm on Facebook. You can catch me out there on Facebook. Also, you can catch me in there, and please subscribe to it's the AD Max Korner, AD MAX Korner on YouTube. Please subscribe. Also, please subscribe to the Houston Roundball YouTube channel, because when I'm on and when both of them are available, I'm normally will occupy both channels when I'm running, like I done Friday afternoon when I did especially after the first round when I did the quick hitter, did about a 15-minute hitter with the Texans announcing their draft from NRG, and so have that, and probably we're going to do a wrap up still, because I'm trying to get some folks in there just to get overall trying to get a flavor from other parts of the country. So that's to be seen, and try to get that out the way. But yeah, please subscribe to AD Max Korner, ADMAXKORNER YouTube. Subscribe there. Subscribe to the Houston Roundball channel. Please do, and you can catch me again at AD_more64 on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else I can get myself out there.
And of course, I am at Twitter at the HR Review, on Instagram, TikTok, the website, and YouTube, Houston Roundball Review. Thank you, as always, to Andy and AD for sharing their time here on Folks Talking Sports. It was fun, talking a lot of football today. We can do that, this flexibility of Folks Talking Sports. We can go football, we can go basketball. We discuss sports. And at some point, I'm going to get somebody on who can discuss baseball, and then I'll be quiet because I have nothing to say when it comes to baseball. But that's not why the person would be on talking baseball. They'd be here to talk baseball and share their insight with the fans here who are following us on Houston Roundball Review, as well as on Folks Talk Sports on Twitter. So reminder to those, the final results of the poll, the majority, 66% gave the Texans an A, 27% gave them a B, and 5% gave them a C grade for their picks in the 2023 NFL Draft.
C.
So we got more ways of interaction.
A C?
Yeah, but C. Hey, it's part of.
Okay.
Must have really high standards.
Hey, that's okay. But that's
no. I'm glad. I appreciate their standards. I hope there's some substance to the standards.
Well, I wish they had chimed in with a comment. It's no problem giving the grade.
No,
just let us know what you think. Because
I appreciate
discussion here on Folks Talking Sports. But going forward, we're going to have more poll questions for future shows as another way to just get some interactivity and engaging with the fans and the audience here on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube platform. And reminder, the Houston Roundball Review is a media group. So media group, basketball, football, at some point, baseball. We're going to have the CFP here in Houston. Going to try to be covering that as well. Big 12 football, going to be trying to attend the media day for that. I might even show up, or Mr. Moore might even show up at the American Football Media Day. Who knows? But the Houston Roundball
finally going to be in person.
In person, yes, media group. So as always, one more thing. Got to get this as well. If you would like to advertise on any of the shows here on the platform, email me at kgardner@thehrr.com. One more time, kgardner@thehrr.com. The shows are available as on YouTube, Twitter. Clips will be on Instagram, TikTok. Thursday show on the lunch break on Roku, on the BS3 network. No salt. The conversation with my future wife is
no salt is
to be posted hopefully within 2 hours. Let's go with that. And I won't even say it, but there's a line in there. Some of y'all gonna going to just run with it too far, but just relax with it. But it was a great interview. Thank you to her for doing that. Andy, AD, as always, thank you very much for taking time out to share your thoughts and insight with the fans. And we'll see everybody. Let's see another Let's Talk Houston Rockets probably this Saturday at, 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. We'll see. But subscribe to the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Click that bell so you can receive notifications, and also so you can see the posts made on the community tab on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Everybody, take care. See you in a few days. Peace.
Yeah, Andy, go get the Astros a victory, man.